live their lives, that Muhammad, Krishna, or the Buddha are the way. Still some believe it's right to say in the name of Jesus when you pray. We are a humankind of 7 billion. So many different races and religions, and it all comes down to one. Some say God's a him, and still many believe that he is a her. Does God live in our hearts, or is she somewhere out there in the universe? We are a humankind of 7 billion. So many different races and religions, and it all comes down to one. How far will we have to go before we learn the lesson? Gandhi was a Hindu, Martin Luther King a Christian. Regardless of religion, they knew love was the mission, and it all comes down to one. Is there no God at all, or a pantheon of gods up in the sky? We can heal our broken heart if we give up the desire to be right. We are a humankind of 7 billion. So many different races and religions, and we all want the same things: health, love, prosperity, and peace. Tolerance is the seed, and the gift of your acceptance is the tree. We are a humankind of 7 billion. So many different races and religions, and it all comes down to one. Whether you are red, brown, yellow, black, or white, a man with a husband or a woman with a wife, we can debate until the end of time who's wrong and who is right, but we can see ourselves as one, 'cause it all comes down to love.
like to welcome you to today's Open Heart Spiritual Center service. I also want to say Leo's rule, and so happy Leo birthday. If August is your birthday month, happy birthday, Leos. I also want to take a moment, just take a breath in. And releasing this breath, we release everything that's come before this time. Release it all. Let it go. This is the time to be present in every single moment. Actually, each moment of every breath is a time to be present. But let's just let everything go that has come before this time and be present. Let's be present for the music. Allow the music to speak to you, to speak to your heart, to crack your heart open and allow you to receive all that you are here to receive today. Even if receiving is just being present. For we often don't have to receive a thing or something material, for that's what we always go to when we think of receiving. But receive the vibration of this service, of the music, of the powerful message. As the messenger brings the message, allow it to open your heart up. And remember that we can take in each moment and change our thinking, change our life. Let's choose today to put a new keeper at the gate of our thoughts, and to think with every step, every idea, and every moment, more empowering thoughts, creative expression, beauty, the intelligence that we are, the wisdom that we already know that we are. There is no grabbing or grasping for something any longer. Today's a new day, and let's celebrate this new day with already knowing it's all well. It's already done so beautifully. So let us just now take a breath in, and breathing in this breath, allowing ourselves to receive this beautiful celebration, and let the celebration begin. And so it is.
Our thoughts are prayers, and we are always praying. Our thoughts are prayers. Be careful what you're saying. Seek a higher consciousness, a state of peacefulness, and know that God is always there. And every thought becomes a prayer. My words are prayers, and I am always praying. My words are prayers. I'm careful what I'm saying. Seek a higher consciousness, a state of peacefulness, and know that God is always there. And every thought becomes a prayer.
What comes from the heart reaches the heart. Good morning and welcome to our Heartstream for this Sunday, August the 10th. I'm glad that you have joined us for this morning's Heartstream. Welcome to all of you that have joined in wherever it is that you are, whether you're watching this as it comes through live or whether you are watching it later. Appreciate you being here. Appreciate you sharing this Heartstream with others, letting them know about Open Heart, letting them know about this New Thought, Ancient Wisdom message that we have here in Memphis, Tennessee, not only with Open Heart, but also with Unity Christian Church. The opportunity again for this collaboration between these two wonderful congregations. We have started the class, the New Thought Metaphysics Lab at Unity. We began on last Wednesday and we will continue on this Wednesday. We'll have information that we're working on the parts, so those of you who would like to participate online will be able to do so. And by Wednesday, we'll have a link on Open Heart's website for those of you that would like to go there to be able to access the class. Begins at 6 p.m. Central Time. And we are using the book E Squared by Pam Grout. And there'll be more information and everything available for you by then. We're still working things out, and I appreciate the interest that some of you that have reached out to me to say, hey, how can I get in the class online? Those of you that are in the Memphis area that would like to, you can come out and meet with us in person. We had a great time getting to know one another last week, and we're going to continue. There are some big events that are going to be coming up very soon with Open Heart and Unity next month, and in October and even in November. The board, we had our meeting and we talked about some things, put some planning in place, and look forward to some great things unfolding. I appreciate always your support for Open Heart and our Heartstream through your giving, through your letting other people know and sharing this, and you showing up. Also, all of that goes into helping this message gain attention from others and this message to go out. And as always, I greet you. I bless you. I see God in you.
Today is a day like no other day. Just think and you'll know that it's true. Days like today should be holidays. So I'm singing this message to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Just have a happy day.
There are several ways to give to Open Heart: through our Cash App at OHSC901, online at OHSC901.com, or text the word GIVE to 615-422-4290.
A powerful way to start or continue your day is with our daily prayer call. Each morning at 8 a.m. Central Time, a prayer team member provides an inspirational reading and an affirmative prayer. Join us at 901-586-8755.
Hey, if you're in the Memphis area, each week you're invited to come out to Unity Christian Church, 3345 McCorkle Road, to join us for our Sunday celebration. This isn't just about John speaking, but it's about an opportunity for two powerful, wonderful congregations to come together. That's right, because we have people from Open Heart who join in singing, who work as platform assistants, and other things that happen on those Sundays. And if you're here, it's an opportunity for you to come out and to share with us. If you're not able to be here in person, you can always stream with us at Unity Christian Church, both on the Facebook page and on the YouTube channel. Hope to see you soon.
All right, here we go. There is a God in the garden.
There is a garden where dreams come true. A beautiful garden where God's grace blooms. There is a garden where everything grows. A beautiful garden where love is sown. And in this place of light and love, you can have anything that you're dreaming of. There is a garden where dreams come true. A beautiful garden. That garden is you. And in this place of light and love, you can have anything that you're dreaming of. There is a garden, dreams come true. A beautiful garden. That garden is you. There is a garden where dreams come true. A beautiful garden. That garden is you. There is a garden where dreams come true. A beautiful garden. That garden is you. Such a beautiful garden. That garden is you.
That was sweet. That was
We done.
sweet.
We done.
Yes.
What are you faithing today? I'll get back to that question in just a moment, but I'd like you to do something with me today. And we're going to take an imaginary journey. If you will, if you were just for a moment right there where you are, close your eyes. If that's comfortable for you, close your eyes and imagine that you have a piece of clay. It could be whatever color clay that you want. You can think about clay that we've had. Some of us grew up with something that was called Play-Doh. Others of us had other types of clay, but just a piece of clay that is in your hands. Now I want you to take this clay and begin shaping it and molding it and shape it into whatever it is that you desire, whatever it is that you like. It could be an animal, it could be a tool, it could be a shape, whatever it is, but you just take a moment. You can stretch it, you can roll it out, you can do all kinds of things with this piece of clay. And as you do so, take the opportunity to use your imagination and to shape this clay into whatever form it is that you would like to. Now, take this moment, open your eyes, and before you, you have the finished product. You have whatever it is that you imagine, and you've now shaped it, and it's in your hands, the finished product. And in the book of Hebrews, in the Christian Bible, we hear these words, now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. And in New Thought metaphysics, we talk about substance all the time, unformed substance to be more exact. But we talk about this all the time because it is something that is a part of our teaching. It is something that we consider and that we spend time as a part of our teaching because it's crucial to understanding what it is that we are saying when we talk about the fact that we can create, our thoughts create our reality. Our thoughts can shape that because faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. What you just did in your mind's eye with a piece of clay, you took that clay and that unformed substance of clay, and you did what with it? You molded it, you shaped it, and it came to be whatever it is that you desired it to be. And in the same way, in our teaching, we talk about how as we shape that piece of clay, we also shape our lives. We shape the occurrences and the experiences that happen in our lives. We do so by taking the unformed substance of the universe and by shaping it. The catalyst for this is faithing. Faithing. Faithing allows us to take the stance that as we wish to have things develop and unfold in our lives the way we wish to have things show up, we do so from the perspective of faithing. Faithing is the catalyst. Faithing is what gets us started. Now, let me say this when I talk about creating our reality, because it's important for us to recognize and to remember also that we create our lives and we shape them in particular fashions. But that's not to discount the fact that we live in an interconnected universe, an interconnected society, and we are connected with other people who are also in the process of creating things in their lives. And very often we can get entangled with the kinds of things that other people create. We can find ourselves sometimes in mess that we certainly didn't call for, but we're in it just the same. But the good news is that when we find ourselves in that manner, we have the tools, we know the ways in which we can bring ourselves out of these things. And that becomes important because when we do that, we can find balance and find a way in these situations or circumstances to right the course, if you will. Because very often in our teaching, we can get caught up in the victim blaming and blaming other people, engaging in metaphysical malpractice where we blame the victim, blame ourselves, because oftentimes when things happen to people, folks get personal and they start asking, well, what were you thinking? And what was going on in your mind? And where were you with all of this? And your thoughts create your reality. You must have been thinking something. And I know that I went through that situation myself years ago when I was back in the hospital and I had the medical crisis that happened to me. I found myself there and also at home at different times asking myself and even in some ways beating myself up for what it was that I was thinking and asking. And then when I would talk to people, I'd talk about, say, well, they said, that I almost didn't make it and that kind of thing going on there and repeating that story. And ultimately, I made the decision that I was going to change that story. So rather than talking about the story from the perspective of a victim of what happened to me and poor me and that kind of thing, my story became one of victory. It became one of overcoming. It became a story where I began talking about the things that happened and how I was able to take the teachings that we talk about and use those teachings despite what might have happened to bring things about to the point where I am today. And I think that is important for us to understand this and to do that. And as I made this change, as I made this switch, it became a story of hope. It became a story of strength. It became a story of recognizing and realizing that there was more to my life than that which had happened in that particular time. And that's a part of the creative process of faithing. And notice I've been saying all along, you've probably been asking yourself, faithing, what does that mean? Why do you keep saying faithing? Is that a word? And as we talk about that and look at that, because I didn't say, what do you have faith in today? I asked the question at the beginning, what are you faithing today? What are you faithing today? And you see, there's some limitations in language. A lot of times when we are translating things from one language to another, things get lost and things happen. And one of the things here is that in English, we don't have a particular word that ultimately expresses, when we start talking about expressing our faith, when the Aramaic, which Jesus, the master teacher Jesus spoke, or the Greek in which the New Testament was rendered, those describe the process to faith or faithing as a verb. But in English, we typically talk about faith as being a noun. And so it becomes difficult sometimes, but I like to coin the phrase faithing to catch that whole idea and the essence of to faith, to having faith. So again, faithing is the process that we go through, a process that we do in order to bring ourselves into a situation, a circumstance where we begin shaping and molding the things in our lives. And we do that from the perspective of faithing. And I'd like to offer, if you will, some suggestions on how you can do this. Some suggestions on how we can do faithing, how we can faith. The first way is, or the first element in this process is to recognize that you have a track record. You have a track record already of faithing. That each and every day of our lives, whether we realize it or not, but they are based on the fact that we are faithing, that we are recognizing that even here and now, where I am, the fact that I have faith, or I'm faithing that the roof over my head is going to remain intact, that the walls around this house are going to do so as well. That when I get in my car and I drive places, and understanding that again, it's going to be safe travel to and from different places. When we go to the doctor, when we go to the restaurant, when we go other places, the idea that we're putting our faith in action, we are faithing. And even more than that, that as situations and circumstances arise in our lives, we have, again, the ability and recognize that we have what it takes to be able to navigate these things, to, if we will, have to overcome things, being able to balance things, to do whatever else it is that we need to do. That we already have a track record of faithing. That's why I like, and I reference Hebrews chapter 11, because if you're familiar with that particular chapter, there is something that goes beyond faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. But there's also what is described as the roll call of the faithful. And that is where they begin talking about and recounting the lives of those people who stood as heroes of the faith, if you will, as heroes in this way. They talk about Moses and Abraham and many other people that we know from the Hebrew Bible, the Old Testament, but these people who are heroes of faith. And it brings their track record forth to a people who were experiencing some difficult times, experiencing some difficult things. And what the writer of Hebrews was doing was pointing to these people, saying that just as they made it, that just as they were able to live through faith and to live in faith, that you too can do the same thing. That each and every day, each and every one of us has that opportunity to look to what I call the heroes of faith in our own lives, the roll call of faithful in our own lives. We have the grandmothers and the grandfathers and the aunts and uncles and the church members and Sunday school teachers and doctors and people in the neighborhood and many other people who live from the perspective of faith. Many people who trusted and lived from their sense of faith. And by doing so, were able to overcome some tremendous odds, who by doing so were able to face the challenges of the day and to do the things that they had to do and were able to do so that you and I could be here, that you and I could be here where we are here and now, recognizing this and realizing this and all of that, that when we have a track record of faith, of faithing, not only the simple things, but if you think about the situations and the circumstances in your life, situations and circumstances in your daily living, things that I might not know about, things that other people might not know about, but that you know about, situations and circumstances that you made it through, where you might have faced what seemed to be impossible odds, but somehow you made it. Somehow you got through those things, only to find out because you prevailed, because you trust, you believe, and you faith. You did faith. That's not to say that we won't have doubt, because we will have doubt. That's not to say that you won't agonize sometimes. That's not to say that you won't sometimes find yourself wondering, how did I get myself in this situation? Why is this happening to me? But ultimately, there were some things that happened that allowed you to overcome, some things that allowed you to make it through. Remember, everything is created twice. It is created in the mind, and then it takes shape in the physical form. It manifests in some way. We talk about the mental equivalent, and the mental equivalent is that first process of creation, that first where it begins in the mind. We begin seeing it and conceiving of it in the mind. We begin just as you took that piece of clay and you begin shaping in your mind what it is that you would like to the final result, the end result to be, and you begin seeing it there. And then you took it and you began shaping it with your hands. And as you shaped it with your hands, making it into the thing that it is that you wish to see, to have happen. That as you do that, that's a part of the process, the creative mental equivalent. And then we do that. You have to believe it before you can achieve it. Seeing it in that way. And that becomes important. And that's what we're really talking about in our mind's eye, knowing that it is there, trusting again in that substance, that unformed substance. Often when you hear me pray, you will hear me talk about taking whatever the intentions that I set and then putting them into the creative medium. That is the part of the creative process that takes those things and begins working on them. That place in the universe in which things, in fact, are created. And literally the word, the creative medium, the term, that's the place where it happens. And again, as a reminder that as we begin the process of asking, and in the process again of it being given, ask and it is given, well, there's a particular middle point, midpoint. That's the creative medium doing its work. And that's not our concern. That's not that. We don't worry about the how, because that's not our concern. That's what the concern of God, the universe, source, creative energy, love, intelligence, whatever it is, however it is that we describe this process and describe the universe. That is where it has happened. That is where it comes forth. And oftentimes that as we do that and we relax, we release and we let go, it comes forth. And we often wonder where, here it is. And ultimately, but the creative medium works on those things because we have to understand again that the universe is constantly conspiring on your behalf. The universe is constantly bringing forth things for your benefit because we live in a universe. As the Episcopal priest Morton Kelsey reminds us, and I love to quote him when he says the fact that the faith is believing that the universe is kindly intentioned toward us. Kindly intentioned toward us. Faith, where the universe is inclined toward us. So we believe that. We know that the creative medium is going to act upon that which we give it, that which we place into it, that which we turn things over to. We sometimes sing the song, "Take your burdens to the Lord and leave them there." But, we take things and place them in the creative medium, knowing that it will act upon it. Because you see, we have that ability. It's with each and every one of us. We can take it today. We can start now. Again, as I pointed out to you, it's a process that we are already using. And when we learn how to use it intentionally, and we see that, then things begin to happen. There's a book that I read a number of years ago that really appealed to me because of the anthropologist in me. But it is about a group of people in Malaysia called the Sing-Oi. And the Sing-Oi gained attention from a lot of different people at a particular time because of certain abilities that they had. And the particular book I read, the author wanted to find out more about this people. So he traveled to Malaysia. He began asking about the Sing Oi and where he could find them. And some people said, well, they actually live out in the forest, out in the jungle, if you will. And they don't have a whole lot of contact with people. But there's a few businesses that are near where they go, where they live. And there's a gas station in particular that you might go there and ask around, ask if there's someone that knows how you can get into contact with them, put you into contact with them. So he says he goes to the gas station, he asks around, people are kind of, nonchalant about it. And so then as he makes his way around to the back, he notices a man standing there. The man looks at him, he looks at the man, then the man turns around and he begins walking away. And he said there was something in him that said, I'm supposed to follow him. So he does, in fact, follow him. And soon after many twists and turns in the forest, he comes upon a group of people who are there, and they happen to be the Sing Oi. And he begins spending time with them, learning about them, and he would spend days with them, and then he'd go back to the city. He'd write down the things that he said, that he heard, the things that he learned from them. But there were some particular things that he was really kind of puzzled by. That is because he had heard from other scientists and some other academics that the Sing Oi weren't very smart. They didn't seem to be that imaginative. They didn't seem to be that intelligent. And we have to think back to at the time that all of this was being said about them was when there were certain ethnocentric and Eurocentric ideas about intelligence and imagination and all of that. But he had heard these things. But what he was seeing for himself about the Sing Oi didn't match up with the things that were being said. First of all, as he took his many trips out there to see them, every time he showed up at the gas station, there was somebody waiting on him in the back. Sometimes it would be a man. Sometimes it would be a child. Sometimes it would be a woman. And they would all do the same thing. They'd look at him, they'd turn around, and they begin walking through the forest, walking through. And so he asked them one day, how do you know? He says, every time I show up, somebody's there waiting on me. How do you know? And they said to him simply, we just know. The second thing that they did that was really kind of amazing to him was that in their daily lives, that as they moved around, when evening time approached and it was time to go to bed, wherever they were, they just went to sleep right there in different groupings and all of that, children sleeping here and different people there. But when they woke up in the morning, there was a practice that they had to use every day. And that is, as they woke up, they would begin sharing their dreams. They would begin talking about what it was that they dreamt the night before. And as they shared their dreams were interconnected. And one part, a person might dream the first part of a dream, and another person might have something to go in the middle part and somebody at the end part, but their dreams were connected. So as they talked about and shared their dreams, the dream became the priority for that particular day. So whatever was going on, that was the decision for what they would do that particular day. They would get up and do certain chores or do a project or this or that. There were times when they just decided that maybe today is a day that we will just sit and not do much at all. Just eat and just remain in place. But there was a particular time he recalls where they got up and several of them were talking about the same dream. And that dream was of an eagle who had balls of fire in his claws and was dropping them down on places. And the author says that when he looked back on that a few weeks later, and as they described things, he realized that what was happening at the very time that they had shared that about their dream was in the fact that when Pearl Harbor had been bombed. So it tells you how long ago that was. But the bombing of Pearl Harbor. He also shared that there was another time when they woke up and they said that they had heard a jaguar crying in the forest. And they turned to him and said, this one's for you. And he realized that there's probably something that he needed to take care of. So he got up, made his way back to the city, and he made a phone call back home, and he discovered that his youngest son had gotten sick. And so he made his way back to the United States to be there for his son. But the reason why the scientists and the academics were saying that the Singoi were not imaginative and not very intelligent was because they would take a piece of paper, a blank piece of paper, and put it in front of a child or put it in front of an adult and ask them to draw anything on it that they wanted to. And they would just stare at the blank piece of paper, not knowing what to draw, not knowing what to do. And they would just stare at it. But if they were given instructions, draw a bird, draw a tree, draw the forest, they would do so, and they would do so in a manner that was very vivid and very creative and very lifelike. And that was it. And as I thought about this amazing group of people, what I see about this is that in the midst of things, they were able to do not when they had that blank piece of paper, but when they had some direction, when they had some structure to what it was that they were to create, when they had some structure to what it is that they were seeking to create, they were able to do it, and to do it in a fine fashion. And that's the last stage in this whole process of faith and faithing and creating that which we wish to see. Giving it direction, not in the sense of telling spirit or source of the universe what to do, but by seeking or placing ourselves in a mode, putting ourselves in a place and allowing it to happen. After all, we don't want to be like the man who kept asking God to let him win the lottery, and over and over and over again. Every time he saw someone else win, he said, well, God, when's my turn? Well, you need to let me win the lottery. And finally, God said to the man, well, you need to buy a lottery ticket first. We have to take in the process, put ourselves in position. We have to have, as Mitch Horowitz describes, a chief definite aim to set our intention. So Reverend Ike reminds us that we have to be definite about the infinite so that the infinite can be definite about you. It's important for us to understand these things. It's important for us to understand that in this process of faithing, in this process of creating that which we wish to have show up and experience in our lives, when we put this process into place, things begin to happen. When we put this process in place, things begin to show up. When we recognize that we have a track record of faithing, when we recognize that we have the heroes of faith in our lives that are there for us, that stand as shining examples for what it is that we need to do. Why we talk about these people, we talk about these things as encouragement for us, as direction for us, as a path for us, as understanding for us. Then when we become definite, when we put into the creative medium what it is that we wish to show up, then we can answer the question that I started this message out with today. What are you faithing today? And so it is.